Hi, everyone. Welcome back to season 2 of the Reframe Series podcast, where we are looking at and unpacking what it means to be Desi locally and globally. And today we have a very special guest with us. We have Shrithika Logeshwaran. Great to have you here. So Shrithika has a growing passion to help people of all ages achieve self-sustainability in the field of medicine. Taking preventative measures to reduce cardiovascular disease is something she has high regards for, specifically in the South Asian community, where CVD rates are higher than ever. So her interest in combining public health policies with medicine are what are helping her to strive to follow an upstream approach in effectively combating the health disparity. She is currently a third year in UC Berkeley, pursuing a bachelor's degree in public health to hopefully become a cardiologist. So, I'd love to start off by asking you, how did you get involved with Asha for Education, and what has made you so passionate about this organization, especially while contributing to doing all of your studies in public health and STEM courses?
Well, first of all, thank you, Arpita, for inviting me onto this podcast. So regarding your question, I think Asha for Education has a special place in my heart because before college, I was introduced to it through various fundraisers that my parents have also contributed to. There were a few events that raised funds for various projects that take place in India. So we went to some of the, I think, dance performances, the cultural events, the ones that are pretty common among the Desi communities. So it was also a great bonding experience for a greater cause. So that was my first introduction to Asha for Education, or as a growing child. But later on, when I joined college, I saw a few of my friends joining the organization, and I became more involved in it my second year in college. So I also became a project steward recently, and I served on the general, general member as a general member this past year, and it was great learning about all of the projects that we have donated to in the past. And I think you learn to balance your schedule along with these clubs that you take part in. It's definitely difficult at the beginning. I think there have been days where I just don't get enough sleep, and I wake up the next morning, completely sleepless and tired, no motivation. There are days, but others, you pull through, you push, and you keep doing what you do. And I think maintaining a schedule, you write down what you want to accomplish in that day, and having like a checklist definitely helps. So Asha for Education definitely made me value education a lot more, and being at a university, it really pushes me to be more grateful for what I have right now. So not taking any of this for granted, it also helps me appreciate what I have in life right now.
So I'd love to hear about kind of the work that you've done as a project steward for Asha. Can you tell us about what your experience has been like?
Thank you for that question. So I've just been recently designated as the project steward for Rewards Trust. So it's been quite basic management of the project so far. We've been in contact with the project liaisons for around 3 or 4 months, and I've done a presentation in a general meeting where we had to discuss about the budgets for the upcoming year, what we do generally as the Rewards Trust in India, and what our funds contribute to. And basically, it's been a great communication between the project liaison and myself. They've been really communicative and very welcoming. To say at the beginning, I would say that basically what I do is act as a bridge between our college and the project that's going on right now, and I help clarify any doubts or amplify any problems that they are facing, maybe give them a little bit more resources that they might need to flourish more in the future. Basically, the Rewards Trust is revolved around upbringing teachers in rural villages for students that cannot afford education in the city, for instance. So the funds that we raise go directly towards training teachers and giving them the proper resources to teach students. And this Rewards Trust serves around 8,000 students in across 25 villages, and there are 50 schools located where 75 teachers run those schools. And the board of trustees, including Kalavati ma'am, who is the wife of the founder, Sridhar sir, she has been basically contributing as much as possible for all of the schools in this rewards trust, and the salaries and the compensations that go towards the teachers are also a majority of what Asha provides goes to the rewards trust. And it basically incentivizes the teachers to teach better and as equal as they would if they were in a government school. That is the goal, to have these students study in rural settings and graduate with flourishing, grades and colors and go off to do what they aspire to do.
Yeah. How long has the trust been around?
It's been around since 1996, the year it was founded. So it's been around 27 years.
Wow, that's a really long time.
Yeah, and the thing is, Sridhar sir, who came up with the idea for funding teachers in these types of low-income areas, had he still been around, his wife had said that he had such a passion for teaching and education, he would have definitely built a college for these students in rural settings, because he just has such a big ambition for education and what it stands for, and having that equally distributed across all communities was a great dream of his.
Yeah. Do you know when he passed away?
I think it was this past year or in 2021, but I'm not too sure how he did.
Yeah. So I think part of the reason we wanted to do this episode was because you actually got a chance to go and do a site visit to the Rewards Trust, and I'd love to hear about your experience about it.
Yeah, definitely. So it was not a normal site visit in terms of like meeting with the students themselves. It was the day that they were having an exhibition site where all of the teachers across the schools basically come to one school and showcase what they teach and how they teach. So there were a set of primary teachers, secondary teachers, and higher secondary teachers. And the two sets of higher secondary and secondary teachers had their exhibits where they had displayed all of their content onto two different medias. So one was a chart where they had to write everything that they wanted to teach. And then second was a visual display, basically. And the primary teachers would take notes, go around, interact with them as they were students, and learn about how they teach and take, some feedback. And it was also great for the teachers that were presenting because they could take in constructive criticism and improve on their own teaching, abilities. And so I was invited to go to the site or the exhibition that day and meet all of the trustee members on the board, which was amazing. They've been doing some great things for this project so far. And I've met all of the teachers. They were amazing, so welcoming, and they really made it feel like I was at home. Every teacher that I would bump into would ask me how I was, if I needed to take a seat or have some coffee or some biscuits or something. Simple as that may sound, it was very welcoming and it felt safe. But going through the exhibitions, there were 5 different subjects that were presented. It was languages, I think social science, history, math, and science. And it was incredible how much effort each teacher had shown into their displays. For instance, there was this one teacher, she was just presenting on a very simple topic as complementary and supplementary angles. But that one topic that she took on and the things that she did to make it look so visually appealing and engaging for the audience was amazing. I had taken so many videos and photos across that day, and throughout that day it was great to just see. I would have, honestly, I told them I would have loved for them to be my teachers because they were so passionate, and with the amount of resources that they have, the efforts that they are putting out is incredible. It's very inspiring, to say the least.
Yeah. I'd love to ask, because I think what it sounds like your experience of that day was really, was very powerful, and you were able to kind of get an understanding and connect with a lot of people who are trying very hard to kind of have a positive impact within their communities. But there, even within that, I think, as I think most of us know in the nonprofit sector, it can be very challenging to do work and manage the whole process. And there can be some pieces that fall through, or things that may just not show up in the best way. And as someone who is kind of the philanthropist, oh my God, in the group, how, or as a project steward, you're kind of like the philanthropic body that's coming in. What were did you feel any challenges being in that role and kind of looking around?
Right. I going there and seeing the connections that everyone had between each other. They didn't treat each other as some third person would. But there's obviously, as you mentioned, there's some behind the scenes work that may not be seen outwardly for, public display. I personally did not see that shown during the exhibit session. And I didn't hear of any complaints from any of the teachers saying that, they were not getting treated as well, or they weren't getting compensated as much. And to actually overcome these kinds of challenges, they had some incentives put in place into the rewards trust themselves. So then it would motivate the teachers to do better and have a healthy competition between each other. For instance, there was this one award they would give. I forgot the name. It's not coming to my mind, but it basically we were all given evaluation sheets where we would have to evaluate them out of 5 for one subject, out of 10 for displaying what they had, and then out of 10 for answering the questions that the audience members had. And out of total, they would average it for each teacher. And the teachers that have the higher numbers would have a raise in their salary. So that makes it look like you earn what you get, and it really promotes a healthy relationship between each of the teachers. And even when they were introducing the board members, the trustee members, they had praised some of the teachers. They gave recognition, and within that self, like giving voice and recognition to those teachers that may not feel seen, has a large impact on their future. It might do a lot better than they had felt. So it really helps to point some of the accomplishments, even if it's little, that they do. So these little things that they put into place across the rewards trust really brings the whole community together as a family. And it really, from my perspective, it didn't seem that they had any complaints at all, actually.
That's really great. I would love to. It would be great, like, if you actually had like the opportunity to visit one of the schools and check it out as well. Because I'm so curious of like what kind of environment like they're able to create by putting in these kind of mechanisms. And I'd love to hear more about like how they thought about their approach to actually like creating these incentives for the teachers.
Right. I think so. The exhibition site was on a school, one of the schools that they teach. And what I think happened was I went in when there was a break. There was a half-year break that was taking place, I think, for a week, starting from like Jan 2nd to or for New Year's Eve break, Christmas, the holiday season. So that's why I unfortunately could not meet the students. But the teachers, you asked about what sort of made them help give the incentives, right? So I think it rooted from the founder's point of view and the dreams and the goals that he wanted to give out. He was always someone, at least from the perspective of Kalavati ma'am, she said that he was someone to give recognition where it's due, and he would not think of himself at all. He was always selfless. And all of the qualities and characteristics that he had showed outwardly in the project itself. So those values are something that they teach in the schools every day. Just higher education, having morals, having a good heart, the healthy competition, recognizing accomplishments, and being grateful for where you are at. Those kinds of things are repeatedly mentioned throughout all of the small conversations that they have. And even the teachers have a very good relationship with the trustee members. And that within that itself shows that they are really pushing forward for a greater cause. And they're not really thinking of themselves. like no one that I saw was being selfish at any moment, any given moment, right? It was very relieving and refreshing to see. All of the teachers basically wanted to help each other out, and they would ask questions for other teachers, and they would take that as constructive criticism and, say that they would work on it for the next presentation or exhibition. And this is all for the cause of good quality education for students living in rural countries or rural settings. And actually, one example that I wanted to bring up was this teacher. He was teaching on acids and bases for chemistry. And what he had to do was he didn't have the proper resources to teach about pH change and pH indicators. He had presented about natural pH indicators versus synthetic. And the synthetic ones he had to get from a lab. And that was a bit difficult for him because he didn't have access to a lab, but he went out of his way to go to a lab and get permission just for this exhibition. And all that to showcase what he's done, the efforts that he's taken so far. And for the natural pH indicators, he had to basically press lemon juice or extract the beetroot juice out of the vegetables and everything, which is it. Like the dedication that they have for these little events just show how much passionate they are about teaching. And it's very impressive to see that in especially those communities, because they are thinking about what the students want, and they are saying, we're doing this so that we can engage the students, right? Because they are at, let's say, middle school. Middle school students don't have much of an attention span. Even they're even if they're aging and they're maturing, they're still not at that mature stage yet. So they have a tendency to get distracted a lot. And for that, the teachers have to come up with creative ways to engage the students. And those creative thinking skills and the mindsets that they incorporate into their presentations, it really showed. And I think that all of the morals and values that the founder had basically infused into the entire community, and they live by that. So it's very nice to see that outwardly.
So I'd love to end this podcast by asking for folks who might be interested in getting in touch with you to just kind of learn more about the project or more about Asha for Education. Is there anything that you would want to share?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a website up, and it shows all of our contact information if you would like to reach out or have any ideas for, fundraisers, events, any programs. And it's at Asha I think it's berkeley.ashanet.org. So you can basically just look up Asha Berkeley and it'll be the first thing that shows up. And we have an Instagram too. If you would like to contact me, I would say you can either contact me through email. My email is my first name, all lowercase, l02@gmail.com. And just let me know your name and how you got my contact info. And just feel free to ask any questions you might have about Berkeley, social good, South Asian communities, anything.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.